All right. So let me try sharing my screen. I've got a very quick presentation. It's going to take just a few minutes, and that's going to be hopefully a conversation starter. And anyone who has any questions and this bit that's a little bit interactive, then you're super encouraged to interact either by putting your microphone on and or video on, or also by writing in the chat. So we'll be monitoring that. So I'm going to be sharing my screen, and we have a little presentation. Anto, could you give me a thumbs up if you can see my screen all right?
I can, all good.
Lovely. Let me just try to maximize the screen. Fantastic. So today we're going to talk about working with high net worth families. And this is just really a starting point to discuss things like discretion, professionalism, which actually are super important for every family, to be perfectly honest. So this is kind of just an excuse to tap into a few sort of bits that we don't normally discuss so much because they're kind of a given, I guess, in any job. But at the same time, given that you are essentially going into someone's home, this can be really, really personal. And so it's a good way to, a good topic to touch on, given that some of our families are high net worth families, but some others aren't, and the same principles would still apply because ultimately, we are guests into someone else's home, into someone else's life, but we need to be professional, as when we go in, our role is essentially that of just looking after the kids and nothing else. So first of all, the objective for today is to essentially prepare you guys to provide excellent childcare services also to high net worth families. And what we'll be doing is focusing, let me just admit someone, on the unique needs and expectations of such households. So we'll be touching on what some of these specific needs of high net worth families may be, and then sort of see how we can mitigate some of the issues that could be arising and make sure that we are actually making them comfortable while also feeling comfortable. But as I said, this applies to ultimately all families as well. So it's just a good sort of way to lean into some of these concepts. So, what are high net worth families? I'm sorry for the blurb. I know this slide has a lot of writing on. Essentially, they're families that usually have substantial financial wealth. And this can be defined in different ways in different countries. But usually, they have a sort of high net worth, which can be meaning they have different financial interests. They could have some various properties, real estate, stocks, bonds, private equity, business holdings, anything that could be contributing to them being higher net worth. So why are we talking about them today? That is because they may have some specific characteristics that unite them. As we said, substantial financial wealth, good for them, isn't it? Multiple properties, sometimes that could be a feature, which could kind of come into play when you are working with them because you may have to travel between their properties, for example. Access to high quality education. They may have higher standards than usual. Their children may be going to really good or really sort of specific schools or tutors and whatnot. And they may have a lifestyle that is different from the average. It could be a bit more luxurious. They could be engaging in activities that you may not be super familiar with, as I wouldn't. So, in terms of lifestyle, we're talking about frequent travel. That is one. They could be traveling across various different countries quite quickly. It could be that they're moving between properties or they're going away for business. It could be that the kids also are quite used to traveling quite a lot. They may have exclusive memberships, so they may live in a slightly different way. They may have, let's say, PAs and concierge services, booking activities and commitments for them. That's an interesting one. They may also have art and other collectibles in their homes. And again, this could be potentially of relevance if you are working with them, because obviously, we are sometimes making mess when playing with kids. And depending on the value of, the furniture and art and whatever else families may have in the home, this could potentially be a problem. They may be particularly sociable. They may have lots of engagements, some charity events that they may be hosting or attending. So it's kind of, I guess, just a different setup from the average family, right? And most importantly, they may have privacy and security measures in their homes or in their own personal lives. So they may be particularly private. They may not want you to sort of ask certain questions, or they may have security that you're not sort of super familiar with, or you may have not sort of thought of before in the house. So they could have, people looking after their security in their home and whatnot. They may be having a lot of staff. That's another one that isn't written here, but again, it may mean that you have to liaise with multiple people as opposed to just the parents or one of the guardians. So this is a kind of overview. And as I mentioned before, yes, this is a very specific type of family, but at the same time, what we're going to be discussing will apply to all families ultimately, just a lot more to these ones. So the main concept that we want to touch on today is the importance of discretion, professionalism, and confidentiality. So these three big words are actually what we would expect from you working with any family, right? We don't, let's say the family shares something specific with you, it's probably still done in confidentiality because you're there in a professional capacity or you become close to the family. I'm sure they don't expect you to share this with your family and friends. But at the same time, with families that may be more in the public eye or may have the setup that we've discussed so far, this could become a lot more important. Professionalism is also a given, right? Because you are essentially in your professional capacity going into someone's home just to fulfill a job, right? You're paid to do something in their home. So of course you'll be professional. But with some of these families, because they have a lot of staff, maybe they have some sort of higher requirements in terms of how they deal with people in their home doing a job such as looking after their kids. And then the third one, confidentiality. I guess this is similar to discretion, but in a sense, I probably touched on confidentiality more earlier. But in a sense, both discretion and confidentiality are super important. And in terms of not only not sharing what the family may be telling you, what you may be seeing in the house, or any fact and whatnot about the family and their kids, but also in terms of questions that you're directly asking them or your own behaviors. You may want to make sure that you're really sure whether you need to ask a certain question, or you really want to be discreet around these people. And I would say, again, this applies to all families. So this question, there you go. And we've got someone else entering the room. So you want to be careful and prudent in your speech and your actions when dealing with sensitive and confidential matters. So I guess, not be particularly shocked or intrusive when discussing things with them, especially topics that we want to be particularly discreet over are the family's finances, personal matters, anything personal, so health and past history and private, anything that's private and doesn't concern you, anything else private. Do not divulge personal or family related information to anyone outside the household. I mean, this is, again, fairly obvious for any family, but again, especially if it's a family that is in the public eye or has specific security reasons, then and requirements, this may be particularly not welcome. Professionalism involves conducting oneself in a manner that aligns with the highest standards of conduct and ethics in the workplace. So again, we're talking about small details like dress code and appearance, which again, we'd always hope that, things like cleanliness and just the general sort of presentable attire is always the case, but maybe with these families you can see what other staff members are wearing in the home. Maybe you can sort of ask one of the other staff members if there's a preference in terms of what looks most professional to the family and whatnot. Communication and respect is a really big one. Again, we're talking about discreet communication and definitely not being too too interested in personal matters. And then things like punctuality and reliability. These families, more than the average family, are likely not to like it if you are arriving late, or you're not super reliable. And why is that? Because they probably have someone organizing their schedule. They're probably very, very busy, and they have usually higher standards, right? So they may have a PA that's organized their calendar to the very minute. And if you're arriving late, this may be messing up with their kid's schedule or whatever that is. So these families, again, just require the same care of all other families, but there may be slightly higher expectations. And confidentiality, we've touched on this, but essentially we want to keep all information and matters related to the families, their personal lives, finances, and anything else confidential, completely private. And this, as we've mentioned, involves handling information. So anything verbal or written must remain secure and only accessible to you if you've been authorized to essentially know something. Other staff. So again, you may be bumping into other people working for the family or anyone else surrounding the family. And we want to make sure that, you are always particularly, professional in handling this sort of information, but also anything about appearing in public. So you want to make sure that when you are not on the job, you're actually keeping any information off, and just keeping that to yourself, and not discussing this on social media. Let's say, they've got a really funky thing at home, really cool. We don't take a picture and put it on Instagram. I mean, it's obvious, right? But we have had instances where, some people may have lacked, that sort of little bit of extra confidentiality, and that's really, really valued by these families and by everyone else, I would say, especially in this country. Creative activities with minimal mess. So this is an interesting one, right? So given that they may have a different setup, they may have a lot of really expensive art on the walls or whatever that is. I'm just simplifying here for the sake of the argument. You may actually want to make sure that the cleaning up, well, we always want to make sure that the cleaning up after a session is done thoroughly. You're not just there to make a mess with the kids, you're also there to clean up after the mess, if you ever do anything messy play, for example. But with these families, this may be even more important because they may have specific, really expensive furniture or whatever that is. So make sure, if you are doing any messy play, that you've consulted with the family or with whoever is there to consult with on behalf of the family. So it could be a personal assistant or someone else as part of the staff. But then once you've done it, make sure you do actually clean up. So I'm going to open this up to you guys. Feel free to either put your video on and unmute yourself to interact, or you can type in the chat. And I'd love to hear a few ideas of ways to minimize the mess after a messy play session. If you have anything that you've tried in the past that seems to be working quite well, or any tips and tricks, because there's quite a lot of people here that may be benefiting from this. Andy, you've got your hand up.
Yes. So, hi guys. As a messy play expert myself, not essentially with kids, but I do love a bit of a messy play for myself too. When doing some art or designing things, I would generally recommend the best thing to do is to put like a plastic sheet underneath. So if you decide to do messy play, first thing is it a nice day you can do it in the garden, then feel free to do it in the garden. That will prevent from things getting dirty in the house. But like putting like a tar, plastic tar on the floor, whether it's in the garden or inside the house, that's a very, very helpful thing to do. And then all you have to do is basically tidy up, get the plastic sheet, pack it up, and you're pretty much done. If you are doing this activity inside of a room which contains some artwork or statues or anything that could be affected by it, then it would be nice to put some plastic bags, just like bin bags, over the things, over the the coffee table or over the armchairs, just in order to protect them. And you can trick the kids into thinking that that's their, it just become their like private little artist space. And you can tell them that all the artists in London are doing this, and it just looks like an art studio in Dalston. And another thing is, just make sure perhaps that you have an exit plan, meaning you're playing with paints, fantastic. Just make sure that the way to the bathroom, for the kids to wash their hands or to wash themselves in the bathtub, they don't touch the walls, so everything is like supervised. Or if you're playing in the garden, again, just get some buckets of water to take outside with you, where they can wash their hands before going to plaster all the paint on the way back into the house on the walls. This is just my very, very, personal experience, and how I would deal with things. But I'm sure you guys have loads of ideas, so please throw them at us, and we're gonna add them to our creative area, where we give tips to our creatives. So thank you guys for contributing.
Fantastic. And Marie says water play mats, scratching off the artwork, stickers, etc. Yeah, these are all good, very good tips. Anyone else has anything else to add, either in the chat or by just unmuting yourselves and joining in the conversation? All right, if this is it, then we'll keep moving on. Excellent. So we wanted to touch on our learning journey. This is something that we try to always do at every given opportunity. Actually, let me check. It sounds like there's something else in the chat. Also, wipes nearby. That's a really good tip, Marie. I think the exit plan, as Anto described it, is really, really important. Before you even get started with a messy activity, you want to kind of know how to get out of it, out of the mess, how to clean up and get to the bathroom or wherever you can wash the kids' hands and your own. Fabulous. So we take any opportunity we have, including these trainings, which will hopefully become more regular. And I hope we can get some of your feedback after, in terms of what seems to be useful, what not, and what you'd like to hear more about. But essentially, all the opportunities are good to mention the co-career learning journey. So we have been working on creating something that is educational in a sort of creative, but also quite flexible way. Some tools for you guys to essentially work with children that aren't restricting your creativity, but actually just empowering it and igniting it, because each and every one of you will have a different approach, a different background, and we absolutely love that. But we want to make sure that we're giving you something to work within the co-career framework. So we have 4 magic ingredients of our learning journey, and you can probably tell from the icons what they are, but I'd love to hear some guesses, or some of you may actually remember them from the interview, from the training. So does anyone want to guess what are the 4 magic ingredients? A hint, they will have something to do with creativity, I would say. So can we have some suggestions in the chat, or feel free to unmute yourself and just speak up. I'll be waiting. I won't go anywhere. There you go. We've got some messages in the chat. Music, art, dance, sports, languages. Excellent, guys. Marcy and Marie, that's exactly it. So we call them music, movement, art, and languages. Movement is essentially, anything from dance to sports and whatnot. And these are the 4 sort of foundations of the co-career learning journey. So we are essentially encouraging you guys to use essentially one at least of these 4 magic ingredients per session. And if you are multidisciplinary, and if you're especially working with young children, then we encourage you to switch between all of them, essentially. These are extremely beneficial for children's development at any age, especially the younger the better, which can sound a bit counterintuitive. You may think, oh, actually, you want to kind of learn an instrument when you're actually able to move your fingers properly, but actually the younger, the absolute better. And the same for languages and anything that, you know, you think actually you need to be quite good at, it's actually going to make you good at instead. Anyhow, these are the 4 magic ingredients, and you can read more on our training and on our blogs, on our website, and we'll be doing a lot more creative specific training in the upcoming months. So I touched on the benefits, and I think this is, you know, I mean, this is the reason why we built Cocorio, really, is to offer kids the opportunity to benefit from all these amazing skills that can come with creativity. So maybe this is helpful for your own sessions, for your own practice, your own research. So music, I mean, it's pretty intuitive, right? But people don't speak about it enough. And there's quite a lot of literature, but again, not nearly enough. So music reduces stress, improves cognitive functioning, help express emotions, and enhances brain function. I mean, this is pretty incredible, right? And it's great fun. Movement, so it builds confidence, increases the attention span, improves brain health, teaches to connect concepts to actions. As you can see, lots of these are sort of relational skills that are not necessarily just linked to that art form or type of skill, but actually works in so many other levels. Art, a lot of motor skill development. Obviously, you're like holding something. It's also engaging all the senses all together and supports brain development and self-esteem. And languages boost problem-solving skills, improves listening skills, improves memory and concentration, and nurtures the ability to multitask. How wonderful. So again, languages is something that, you know, may not seem like super creative, but actually it most certainly is. And for us, languages also means the English language, right? Some people will speak additional languages, and that's absolutely wonderful. But actually, even just using one language, you know, doing story time, learning songs, learning rhymes, writing, creative writing, and whatnot, that is still very much using the magic ingredient of languages. And we've really, really encouraged you guys to essentially mix as many of these magic ingredients as you want and as you can, and make your sessions multidisciplinary, because then you can really maximize all the benefits. And again, these are not benefits that you'll kind of benefit from after a half an hour session. It's probably all to do with consistency. So we're always trying to get the families to book on a regular basis so that they actually can, their kids can actually benefit from these on a kind of long-term basis. And this is it from my end. Now, I just wanted to signpost you to a couple of things before we open this in case you have any questions. And essentially, one is, if you have recently joined us and haven't started working yet, you need to make sure that the info@cocorio.co.uk email is saved in your contacts. Because we send a lot of emails, it can go to spam or junk folder. So we want to make sure that you are actually receiving all the jobs. You can also join our WhatsApp group for new jobs and emergency cover work. Again, some of you may probably already be on it. If you're not, you'll receive a sort of follow-up to this training, which will also include the link to join the WhatsApp group tomorrow. And then weekly Q&A sessions. This is a fairly new one we've recently implemented. Every Monday afternoon, 4:30 to 5, so a quick half-hour chit-chat. You'll find either Anto or Jack on Zoom, and they'll be answering any questions that you have either about work or about onboarding with us or anything in between. And we've recently boosted our creatives area on our website. It's essentially a massive blurb of resources. There's lots of ideas to get creative using the different magic ingredients, looking at different age groups. There's lots of information on there. And you've got the link here. Again, this will be circulated tomorrow with the follow-up. And there is a password now to protect it, which is called Your Cocorio Guide. And so thanks so much, guys. Feel free to take a picture of this. We'll also circulate the recording, and we'll ask you what you want to hear about next in the next training. We'll also be sending you a survey over in the next week or so, I believe, just to get your feedback on co-career work in general. Co-career was built by creative people. I'm myself a creative, and so is most of the team for creatives. So we really built this business to be able to support creatives looking for part-time flexible work. And so we are essentially constantly trying to improve. So please, if you can spare a few moments, do enter that survey that will be circulating. Of course, there will be a prize draw as well to make it more meaningful to you guys. Anyhow, any questions at all on what we just discussed, or anything else related to co-career or our learning journey or anything else? Feel free to either pop it in the chat or unmute yourselves and jump in. Don't be shy. And if we have no questions, then I'll just leave you to it, and you'll have a lovely evening. Hopefully you've had supper already, or just go for it.
Can I ask a quick question, Karina?
Please.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Who am I talking to?
Great. It's Marie.
Hi, Marie.
I've got my first job tomorrow.
Hey.
And it's I was just wondering what I should wear. Just something comfortable and something to move around in.
Yeah.
It's an event rather than a one-to-one.
So I would say if it's an event, something quite colorful and fun is usually what we recommend. Again, there is no uniform or anything like that. It depends very much on what sort of event it is. But if it's like a birthday party or some sort of celebration, we always encourage you to wear something colorful if you like. Equally, you've got to be comfortable first. So it's all up to you. But I would say, yeah, we always recommend you to first be comfortable, then be colorful if you can. And if not, you know, you can also ask whoever is organizing it. So if it's a family hosting a party, there may be a theme or whatever that is, that may be helpful as well. If it's not a birthday party and it's something to do with the business, you can absolutely ask whoever has offered you that job, and they may have a little bit more insight, or contact the organizer directly. But most of the time, to be perfectly honest, anything that you're comfortable in that's colorful will absolutely do.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Great. Well, congrats. We've got someone raising her hand. Marcia.
Hello, good evening, Karina.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to ask, because I've been registered for quite a few months now, and I've been offered one position, and I contacted the family, and they said that they would try somebody else. And that they would get back to me, and they didn't. So I'm presuming that they took that person on. But I've not been offered anything else, and it's just been a long time.
That's very odd. Are you receiving our emails from info@cocaria.co.uk?
I've seen a couple of emails in my inbox, but I noticed that the ones that came through were asking for you to have an additional language apart from English. So I've not been able to put myself forward for any of those.
That's a shame. So there's been quite a lot going on sort of at the beginning of September, and there's still quite a lot of jobs actually open. Do you have the link to our document with the job openings? Because we essentially have a document with all the jobs that are currently going, which you can always apply to. So what we'll do is, if you just pop a quick email to admin@cocaria.co.uk, you will actually receive an automated email, essentially, that will tell you all of this, if it makes sense. And you also find all this information on our creatives area that is just underneath. So if after having done that, you still feel like you're not getting the jobs, then there definitely is something wrong. But I feel like you're either haven't saved the info at email in your contacts, or you're not joined the WhatsApp group, or there may be something missing in your onboarding, but I'm not so sure. I can't tell you for sure.
Right, because I did actually call and speak to a gentleman. I can't remember what his name was, but he was the one that done the original induction training.
Yeah.
And he said that all of my onboarding had been done, and he wasn't sure what had happened, and that he was going to make contact with somebody. And then shortly after that, I did receive that offer through WhatsApp. But then there's not been anything else since.
Yeah, that's a bit odd. Angela, is your hand up for this?
Sure. I just wanted to say, so Marcia's got a great availability. She's been marked for available for a big job, and she's based in East London, which is really handy, and it's where we have some of the jobs. So the jobs that we have been sending, I've been sending Marcia monthly emails from the admin account as well, with the job log. The issue with these jobs, and I apologize in advance, Marcia, is that it's sort of first come, first serve base. So sometimes we have many creatives inquiring for the same very job. So what we do is we thank you for putting your name forward. Absolutely. We check everything our end, which is, in your case, everything is great, is outstanding. You got all your documents complete. You got your first aid, your safeguarding. So on that regards, in terms of HR and in terms of documents for onboarding, you're completely clear. And this simply means the family has just chosen a different creative, basically. But it doesn't mean that the right job won't come soon, and you just have to keep trying and keep an eye on the WhatsApp. I personally send an email with the monthly jobs. It can also depend on your availability to travel. So if you're a bit more flexible, if you only want jobs in your area, say for example East London, that might be a little bit more difficult for us to match you with the family. But don't be discouraged, please. The fact that a family chose someone else over you, it just means like they read a bio, they read about different people's experience, and they just like went like, yeah, okay, cool, that's it, I want this person, you know. So it's nothing to do with you or your experience. It's just a matter of luck sometimes. And I'm just glad that you are looking forward to working with us. Absolutely. I will have a word with my team tomorrow, with the sales team. I'm obviously recruitment, so I'm the person who overseeing your onboarding process, and I will put a good word in for you, and I will make sure they keep an eye out for you. Just please continue to check your inbox and your WhatsApp. And if anything in your area in East London comes up, I promise you that I personally will send you those details.
Okay, all right, thank you very
And
much.
make sure to apply to as many as you want. Obviously, families are also shopping around, so they may be asking other agencies too. So sometimes we're competing all against each other, essentially. But it's very helpful, you know, if you like any of the jobs, to sort of keep your options open and apply to as many as you'd be interested in.
Exactly what Verena said. Also, sometimes I can promise you that we put more than one person forward. We give clients plenty of choices, but just in the same way that they've joined our agency, they joined other agencies. And so sometimes it just means that they went with someone else that was not co-career. I mean, they're lost, obviously, for not picking you, but absolutely, this is what happens because we're such a small team as well. I would please recommend, don't take it personally, like if you don't get like a reply from us, for example, if you don't hear from us saying like, hey, by the way, you didn't get that job. If you happen to don't hear from us, that means we have booked someone else, or the client's just gone cold or silent. We are basically doing the job of it's like 3 of us doing the job of 10 people at the moment. But we're doing a great job. We're doing great. The company is doing really well. It's just it's difficult sometimes to answer to all individual queries. So I apologize for that, Marcia.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you very much.
No problem at all.
Okay.
Excellent. Anyone else has any questions at all for us? I believe someone just recently joined, but our presentation was just over, but we will be sending the recording tomorrow, so you'll be able to watch it back. But any questions either about what we just discussed or anything else co-career related, either unmute yourselves and shout, or write it in the chat. Otherwise, we will go and have some supper.
I'm cooking as we speak. I want to show you what I've been making. So I'm making like some prawn pasta with some asparagus, which I'm going to show you in a second. It's like
Look at
hand-picked
that.
asparagus from Sardinia. So that's very special. I don't know how they did not stop me on the plane, but here I am. I brought asparagus home. So I want to personally thank you so much, guys, for joining our training. And there'll be so many more to come. Please do reply to our feedback survey that we're going to send soon, because we would love to know what you're interested in. We are childcare and education experts. Myself, I've got a master's in education, and I've been a secondary school teacher for a long time before I joined the company, which I'm very happy I did. But yes, we have a lot of expertise, various expertise with SEND, or just like this particular training that we did today. So if you have a particular interest in anything relating to creativity, art, and childcare, please let us know, because I'm absolutely dying to organize this for you. So please help us here, because we want to give you what you need and what you want.
Excellent. Well, thanks, Anta, for this, and enjoy your dinner. Thanks, everyone, for joining tonight. We'll be sharing the recording and a feedback form tomorrow. In the meantime, any questions, either ask at the weekly Q&A on Zoom on Mondays, or just pop us an email, pop us a message. So have a look at the creatives area, please, on the website. Let us know what you think. It's been revamped, and we hope you like it. So thanks so much, and have a lovely evening, team.
Thank you, Corina. Thank you, everyone. It was lovely seeing everyone and speaking to everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.